You are listening to Beyond the Verse, a Star Citizen podcast. A show dedicated to Cloud Imperium games, Star Citizen, and Squadron 42. Whether you fight, explore, unite, and/or trade, we bring you news, updates, interviews, reviews, and analysis. So sit back, relax, grab yourself a pour of Radegast, and join us as we go Beyond the Verse.
Launch sequence activated.
Hello, friends, and welcome to Beyond the Verse, a Star Citizen podcast. I'm your host, Sulyce, and this is episode 84, called IAE 2954, Talking Ship. And today we are joined with a very, very, very good friend of mine, actually a regular to the show at this point, StarJump Grim. Thanks for coming on, buddy. How are you?
Yeah, not a problem. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. Yeah, I'm doing good. Obviously, IAE, CitizenCon, Invictus, all those are big events and usually require some work for me to get Fleet Viewer updated. So it's an exciting time, but also I know I got work to do.
Yep. Yeah, you're probably one of the busier content creators around this time.
Yeah, it gets a little crazy. So.
Yeah. Well, this is your third time joining us, but just for those who are brand new to the podcast or to the YouTube channel, StarJump Grim, actually StarJump org, as an entire content creation team's very well known. It's very hard to be part of Star Citizen and not know what they do. So they do the Fleet Viewer, they do the Hangar Link, everything that kind of ties in bringing your hangar outside of the game. I use it religiously. I know going into IAE, most people use it religiously, but what have I left out? Who is StarJump as an organization? Who is StarJump Grim? If you want to quickly introduce yourself.
Yeah, well, StarJump is kind of four primary people. Obviously, myself, StarJump Ender, who handles a lot of our charity stuff and manages the Discord. Starlet, who does all the kind of building of Fleet Viewer, all the the front end that everyone sees and the back end, and then VMXEO, who is part of the StarFab team, who's also works with JRDF. So VMXEO has had some intimate involvement and some CIG ships with CIG, and he's like a tech guru that I lean on obviously for Fleet Viewer. But we have content over on YouTube. I stream pretty consistently over on Twitch, StarJump_Grim. And obviously we have Fleet Viewer, we have cinematics, we have discussion shows, all that kind of stuff. We're doing a lot of IE coverage ourselves this week. We got a lot of giveaways. And so we'd like to do that stuff, like to do our charity stuff. We have some big projects in the works that I think will even eclipse some of the stuff we've done thus far, but we're still kind of early in the building of it. But I think that the future is bright for StarJump as an entity, because again, we're really trying to bring unique tools to the community, and if the current projects we're working on are successful, then I think people will be excited.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Any teasers you want to throw out for any of the new projects?
Well, we've long talked about things like Fleet Command and stuff, which are ways to organize and disseminate your fleet on a more granular level with actual numbers attached. There's another project that Starlet is heading up, and StarJump will be involved in to some degree, that is going to make organizing within the game a lot more interesting. That's about as much as I can say without ruining her thunder and how she wants to talk about it.
Sure.
But it's a project I've heard about for several years, and it's finally moving forward because she was waiting for the game to kind of hit certain milestones, and
sure.
All I can say is it's the entire reason I wanted her to be part of StarJump. It had nothing to do with Fleet Viewer. It was this project, so I'm very excited it's moving forward.
Yeah.
So yeah, exciting stuff coming.
Very good. Yeah, you guys, I've joked about this in the past, but you guys are doing like the Lord's work over there. Like the things that we wish CIG would do, y'all are doing. So thanks.
Well, again, we do it because we love the ships and we love this, we love the game, we love the vision, all that stuff. The ships are our kind of entryway into that world.
Yeah.
So obviously we get some focus on there, but you can bet that when other things do come online, other gameplay loops, bigger hooks into the game from a modding standpoint or
Sure.
a add-on standpoint, and when base building comes on, we have big plans for all that. So for example, we absolutely want to bring base building into Fleet Viewer to where you can actually
Oh
assemble and
man.
lay out bases within Fleet Viewer,
Heck
all
yeah.
that kind of stuff. It's just getting our tools in place to be able to do that type of stuff. So yeah, we have a lot of passion for the project, and that's going to continue forward with new stuff as it comes available.
Yeah, you can probably see my face right now. Like my creative juices just fired off.
Yeah,
The ability to lay out and plan out your base before you build it would be an
yeah,
amazing thing for orgs to do, like outside in
I think so.
Discord. Yeah, incredible. Okay.
Yeah,
Well, that's not this purpose of this podcast, but much more. I want to ask you about that. That's incredible.
yeah.
Well, on today's episode, we do have segments that include the news from this last week, so we will cover quickly the Save Stanton events and all the fun joy that's happening with Save Stanton. We have the 4.0 wipe announcement, so that's official. We're going to talk through that, and then of course we will segue into IAE 2954 and all the ships, dating back to the announcements at CitizenCon through what is actually official, like the Terrapin Medical and those ships, and then we'll put on our tinfoil hats and we'll talk about the predictions for IAE, which I think me and StarJump Grim have a few of those. So
No idea.
a few of those.
Incoming message.
But first, let me share my screen for those of you on YouTube and watching on video over on Spotify. We are going to go quickly to the community. Again, at the end of every episode, we do ask a poll and we do allow for comments on both platforms. So let's go through the poll real quick. And I would love actually for StarJump Grim to respond to these and just hear his perception as well. But I asked, will you be getting into Pyro during PTU or waiting for the live PU? And the spirit of this question is obviously we always come to this this like time of decision when there's a PTU and ePTU. Like we had 2 PTUs at one point, and then we had the live PU, and Pyro was there, and IAE's .3 and 2 Alpha were there, and so the question was like, where are you as a gamer? Like, are you placing yourself in live PU? Are you placing yourself in the PTU? And that was the discussion. StarJump Grim, what have you been doing lately? Are you living in the live PU or are you testing?
So I may be an outlier in this, but I look at it as all PTU.
Yes.
Despite what
Yeah.
CIG would probably prefer, to look at the live servers as a shippable product. It's not there for me yet. So I look at it as all testing servers. I personally, if it was my company, all the servers would be open for testing by anyone. I just want this game to get tested and tested rigorously, so that we can have a good 1.0 launch. So for me, I straddle both. I'm in live, I'm in PTU. I have the tech preview channels up. I jump over there. So yeah, for me, it's whatever one's available and playing well that night. I did do the tunnel jump though in the PTU.
Oh, good.
And or no, ePTU. I did it in the ePTU, and I gotta say, I jumped 6 times back and forth between Stanton and Pyro, and it was butter smooth. So I was really fortunate that I had a great experience doing it. And oh man, it was great. It was really awesome. They nailed it. The experience. I still think that the jump gates would have been a good idea to leave in.
Yeah.
But putting that aside, it was a really cool experience, and it felt epic. It felt like you were like something big was happening. You were leaving one system going to another.
Yeah, I haven't jumped yet. The promise I made with my organization, Soul Provision, was my first jump would be with them. So I haven't touched it. But now I have gone into Pyro, so I would create my character in Pyro, and I've seen that. It's stunning. It's absolutely stunning. I've seen the jump points. Obviously, I've seen videos of it, and I've actually been to one, just haven't jumped through it. It is incredible, and I want to mirror your sentiment. I wish they had the actual gates. Those were so incredible, like the mock-ups that we saw.
Yeah, it just felt like this this thing that it was just it acted as a good structure to say, hey,
Yeah.
you're now leaving,
Yeah.
this area and transitioning to another. And it's got that Stargate feel. So I don't
Yeah.
know. It was just from sci-fi fantasy standpoint, it was really cool. I know some people say that there's no lore reason behind it, but I'm like, there's no lore reason behind having jump points.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
Right.
it's like, whatever. Though I've since come to terms with it. I've set with it now, and I'm fine. Again, it was a really cool experience. I think they nailed it. And when I was jumping through, I even saw another ship out there, which was
Oh,
really
cool.
cool.
Yeah.
But I won't. I don't disagree with you. I think doing it as a multi-crew group at some point is going to be a very special moment, and I
Yeah.
would like to do that in live. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you think that they somewhat achieved that with like the truck stops that lead up to the jump point? Do you think that that kind of signifies you're about to leave and that you're arriving? Do you think that accomplishes kind of that middle ground?
It
Or
does.
okay,
I think it does accomplish a little bit of that. Like it
yeah,
feels at least a little bit like it's your last stop before you get on the interstate for 2 hours. You know
yeah,
what I mean?
that's right.
Is kind of the thing. Sometimes where you see those, it says last rest stop
Yeah,
for 60 miles. It's got
yeah,
a little bit of that vibe to it. So I think that's really cool. It's not a total loss or anything. It doesn't ruin the vibe that there's no jump gate. I just think
yeah,
it's one of those things still love to see.
yeah.
I remember one of the jump gates was one of the first pieces of concept art I saw for Star Citizen. It's a bangle going into a giant gate.
Mm-hmm,
Um, and
mm-hmm.
I that always was really evocative to me, and
Yeah,
I connected with it. And it was one of the reasons that I was like, man, I really want this game to be a reality. So sometimes you get hooked on pieces of concept art and they're hard to let go of.
yeah,
You know,
yeah.
it's like that with ships and stuff too. There's still people that are hooked on the
No,
character original concept art, So
no way. Say it ain't so. You mean the Bonnie Merchant Man isn't still driving a lot of discussion? What?
right, I know, right?
Well, that aligns a little bit with how the community responded. We had 70.6% respond with no, they're going to wait on the live PU to get into Pyro,
Yep.
and then about 29.4% as well. So to the comment section. So this first one is Alexander writes, "Congrats on your YouTube partnership and Evocati
Yeah,
induction."
congratulations.
Thank you so much. Yeah, and just quickly, there'll be another episode where it's just me and I'm not wasting StarJump Grimm's time. We'll go a little bit deeper into the perks and my vision for the YouTube membership and all that. But yeah, I think first off, I appreciate it, Alexander. I appreciate it, StarJump Grimm. But it's incredible to be here, to be recognized, and to grow the community in this direction. But we in this last week grew tremendously, hundreds of numbers. We just hit 2.5K over on Twitter, so that's awesome. We're almost at 400 on Blue Sky. It's just incredible. We hit over 1,000
That's awesome.
on TikTok. So yeah, I really do appreciate it. I don't want to belabor it too much, but I just want to.
It's hard to grow these channels. It takes a lot of consistency. I think it's the number
Yeah.
one thing, and then right next to consistency is just quality
Yeah.
stuff, and I think you've been doing that really well.
Well, I appreciate
I
that.
said early on that your show was great, and I'm glad to see you are continuing to be successful for sure.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it's to any future content creator for Star Citizen, it's very undaunting. It's very intimidating because if I wanted to create ships, you're not going to do it any better than StarJump Grimm. If I wanted to go into lore, you're not going to do it any better than the Astropub, right? Like there's these master crafts inside of the game. So good luck, and
I think the
have fun
best
with
thing
it.
you could do if you have an interest in being a content creator for Star Citizen is just find your unique
Yes.
place within it, and it
Yeah.
doesn't mean you have to be radically different, but and maybe it's just your unique voice, but find
Yeah.
what's unique about you and go forward with that and just lean into it and be patient.
Yeah.
It will build. It will
Yeah.
build.
If you build it, they will come.
They will come.
Field of Dreams. Yeah.
Good movie.
Do it for yourself. Do it
Yeah.
for yourself and maybe your community, but do it for the people that you actually care about, not for the numbers. That's
Because
my
there'll be
one piece
there,
of
there
advice.
will be ups and downs. There'll be times
Yes.
where you're like, I am not doing this anymore.
Yeah.
You just have to stay. You just have to stay strong and keep pushing
That's right.
forward. So
That's right. That's right. So Bravo1 writes, wanted to say the website looks great. And we also launched the website too. Love the
Yes.
layout and excited
Pretty
to
cool.
see all the new things on it. Also pretty excited for the Hornet Mark II personally. Like you said, it looks something like from the United States or the US and just gives me that fighter pilot feeling. Agree with you wholeheartedly. Quickly about the website. Yep, it's live. I can now end podcast by saying go to www.beyondtheversehq.com. I don't have to go through all the weird suffixes. Anyways, that was kind of annoying me as a content creator. I'm like, go to this bit.ly link. Very unprofessional. All right, Sean writes, I think that with the increase in staffing for Star Citizen instead of Squadron 42, they will make a lot more progress way faster. We already have a few new ships released that we weren't fully informed about development of, so we may reach golden standard in a lot of ships sooner than expected. Wholeheartedly agree. Secondly,
we're seeing some of that now. We're seeing some of that now, actually. So that's not just like pie in the sky talk. I think he's right. We're seeing some of that now.
Well, the ships are releasing at such a higher fidelity. They're such greater quality, in my opinion. Like the Zeus, amazing.
Yeah, another thing we found out is at last CitizenCon, so 2023 CitizenCon, John Crew said they had 28 ship team members. We have found out recently that now they have like 52 or 54. So that means in the course of a year they've doubled.
Yeah.
I
hope that translates into a nice IAE.
I think it will.
Yeah. I'm happy with like the 4 or 5 that are coming out they've announced.
I mean, already this is going to be probably the most flight-ready ships ever at one event.
Yeah.
If you include the Polaris and the Starlancer, which I technically am, even though they came out during CitizenCon, we're getting them with the IAE patch. So
correct. Yeah. And just quickly, since you brought it up, do you think like the majority of people are just going to get into the Polaris and fly that for those 2 weeks? Because it is the biggest sparkly ship. Because that's what I suspect. I suspect there's going to be 75 Polarises flying around.
I do. Yeah. And as much as a Polaris owner, as much as I would love to kind of have my baby all to herself, at the same time, I have an opinion on large ships, and that is 2 things.
Yeah.
One, all or most large ships should have variants, and that is because CIG needs to have incentive to work on these big ships, and I think variants gives them an incentive, meaning there's more appeal to more people to build those. And then the other thing is this game needs to be funded. Funding happens through spaceships.
Yeah.
The Polaris needs to be sold. So it's if you just cut through all the bull crap, that has to happen. So people out there flying it, even if it's lots of people, helps advertise this game. And even though it's a big purchase, if someone wants to make it, it may convince them to do that. Again, at the end of the day, you can't get away from it. This game has to be funded, and it's funded by these spaceships.
And I think the question to the community there is like, how would you prefer this game be monetized? It has to be. So would you rather have it monetized behind a paywall, or would you rather have it monetized behind a $750 Polaris? So
I mean, and that could be a whole show topic there.
Yes.
But I mean, it's definitely at the end of the day though, they're a business and they have to make money somehow. So whatever avenue that's going to be, they need to not only make money, but they need to be successful at making money. Which so far they have been.
So far they have been. The Polaris can be yours too for $750.
And maybe more when it goes flight ready.
That's right. Oh my gosh.
Side day may come with a price increase. We'll see.
Ooh, yeah, I saw that earlier about $750. I'm like, did I spend that money? Oh God!
I think it has to go up.
Yeah,
believe it or not.
I agree.
Just to sit right with other ships. Yeah.
Well, it's the same price as a Hammerhead, is it not? I think a Hammerhead's around $700, $750.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, and you're getting significantly more ship than a Hammerhead, which we'll talk about towards the end of the show. All right, so back to the quote from Sean. Secondly, I don't truly think we're ready for 4.0. I kind of agree, especially if we want Pyro to come to us fully functional and with little to no bugs. Additionally, I think people need to lay off CIG. All right, so the sentiment I share, I'll respond, and I'd love to hear your response on Pyro. But yeah, it's scary right now. Having been involved in Evocati myself and the PTU, it's scary to think that 4.0 could launch within the next 3 or 4 weeks. So I'm like, how's it going to launch? Because it's not doing too well. Now we know Evocati is a bad build, or it's a lower build than others. We recognize that, but there's a lot of head scratchers that are out there. What are your thoughts there, Grim?
So I am probably in the minority on this one as well, where I personally wish CIG would not punish themselves with these quarterly releases or quarterly
Yeah.
expectations. I'd actually be fine with more like 2 patches a year, like maybe a summer and winter patch,
Mm.
to give them more time to get things dialed in. So again, some people play the game for now, and that's totally fine. I get that and I respect that.
Yeah.
I play the game for what I hope it will be. Like, for example, if you asked me to pledge for what Star Citizen is now, I would never pledge for it.
Right.
I pledge for what I hope the vision is. So, because of that, I'm okay with longer testing cycles, not hitting these quarterly release dates because all I really care about is 1.0 and how that's going to look and function.
Yeah.
So, in relation to Pyro, I know CIG is under pressure to get it out. Um, but personally, I'm just like, I think they should release it when it's ready. If that's quarter 1 next year, quarter 2 next year, I don't really care. I just want it to be in a good place.
Sure.
However, they're going to get it out this year.
Yeah.
It's going to come out in some form this year, I think. Uh, so we'll see. Again, I played a couple ePTU builds of 4.0 that were really smooth
Yeah.
and played just as good as the live server, if not better. Now, to be fair, there was only like 1 or 2 of those, and then all my other tests have been really rough. But to
Yeah.
be equally fair, I've had some live experiences that have been really rough lately with 3.2, 4.2, or whatever we're on.
Yeah. I think 3
Or
just
we're on.
dropped. Yeah.
We just dropped. I think it was
Yeah.
point 0.2. I was having some rough times too. So
Yeah. Yeah.
again, I personally think that as CIG gets bigger and bigger gameplay systems put into the game, we're going to see rougher and rougher patches. However, they've also said, Rich Trier's also said that optimization and playability stability is big on their agenda list. I think that's going to be an impossible hill to climb with how many big systems they plan on bringing into the game. So
Yeah.
I'd encourage everyone to buckle up. It's going to be a little bit rough, but we need this rough time
Yeah.
to get all this stuff in the game.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it scares me that they're talking about 4.0 right before they go on hiatus, right? Like they're going to drop
yeah,
4.0 and then take off for the year. Like, I don't know. It doesn't
well,
sound
and
smart.
then everything we've heard and everything I'm hearing from dev chatter and stuff regarding base building and how soon it's coming.
Mm.
That's going to be another big gameplay system coming online sooner than I think a lot of people think, and that's going to throw some wrenches into the machine for sure. You know,
I am more excited about base building than I am 4.0. Not gonna lie.
I am too. Yeah,
Not gonna
base
lie.
building is my primary gameplay. Look,
Oh,
if you look at my
100%.
fleet, it's built around it. So
Yeah. Yeah. Which the Pioneer is coming up for all you wanting to do the F5 war.
yeah, as a Pioneer owner, I have my opinions on it. So.
Yeah, you and I both, which I actually have a question for you whenever we get to that point. Let's go to Dakota Riley and wrap up the comments real quick. So it's been a wild year of the following your content being part of Soul Provision, and I'm super thrilled you got these amazing opportunities. Build it and they will come, is what people say, and the people certainly have come and continue to show up for you, brother. Appreciate it, buddy. Congrats on the milestones so far and the ones I know are to come. Also, happy eve of IAE. May Chris Roberts bless us with the good Warbond deals, LTI, and some fantastic new ships. I still can't believe the Polaris is finally real.
Yeah.
What a great message. Hey, thanks, friend. I really do appreciate it. It means a lot. Okay, let's move on quickly. I have an email that I actually want you to answer to.
Okay.
So let's get into. I'm not going to share my screen because it doxes this individual. But we have a Douglas who writes, "Hey there, Spotify comments do not work for me. Sweet, awesome. So they're going to email instead." And I answer emails clearly. Thought I'd ask you directly since you've seemed very wise to me from listening often to Beyond the Verse. I only own a Mustang Alpha in my pledges, and I got 20-something in-game bought ships, but I'm currently moving and will most likely not get back into Star Citizen until 4.0 drops. So what I want to know is, what would you recommend I do first in-game when I get back after all of my in-game ships wiped because of the update? Let's go to you first, Grim. So what ship, of all they have, the only owned ship they have is a Mustang Alpha. What would they do in 4.0 when it wipes the entire game? What would you recommend?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, I think that first and foremost, that's nothing wrong with having the single ship
Yeah.
and going that route. I think that that's perfectly wise. And when the ship gets more and more mature, those ships that you bought in game obviously won't just disappear on you. I do think CIG wants to get to a place where those don't disappear sooner rather than later,
Yeah.
based off talks I've had with some developers. Like they want the ships to remain. That is something they want to do. So. That being said, though, I think the first thing you got to always do when figuring out next steps in the game is figure out what you want to do in terms of gameplay loops, right? So do you want to go more combat route? Do you want to go more industrial route? Whatever the case may be, or do you want to just make money? Because if you want to make money, then it's probably best to diversify what you're doing. Regardless, though, once you figure that out, I think your first steps are going to be utilizing the ship you have to at least get started, get that seed money to start whatever path you want. So I think the first thing you want to do with a Mustang is you want to get out there and do some combat, some bounties or whatever, some low level stuff. Just build up, even just easier stuff, build up that little nest egg. And then from there, decide, if you want to go industrial or, if you want to do salvage or mining or more combat, and then buy the next ship in that tier, right? So maybe you're targeting a vulture or a prospector or a combat ship that's a step above the Mustang. I think that's the most logical course of action and probably your only real paths at the moment until more gameplay loops come online. But any one of those gameplay loops are in a good place where you can generate a good amount of money to kind of rebuy a lot of these ships that you're going to get wiped in 4.0.
Yeah.
So yeah, that'd be my advice.
Yeah, and it's great. It's great advice. And you actually responded initially with how I was thinking. It's like there's a time that I wish I only had the one ship. Now which is funny because last week I just got Legatus Navium, so you know how much money I've spent.
600, yes.
So I mean,
there's a level of it. I don't have the 600i level. I have the F8C executive level.
There you go. Yeah, absolutely. So Praetorian, I think, is that.
Yes,
I think yeah.
Praetorian. Yeah. Which is crazy with all the ships I own. I can't believe it's not more.
I know. That's a big jump from Praetorium to, Legatus.
It is.
But not to get us in trouble with family. There's a time, and it happens frequently, when I wish I just had a Mustang. I just had this one ship, and so when I log in, when 1.0 drops, I'm gonna have 53 ships in my hangar, like at the very least. And I'm like, that's not necessarily that fun. And so you think about it, you're in a great place, buddy. Like you're in a great place with just your Mustang. So I agree with that sentiment. For me, I would think that cargo hauling is probably and people are going to fight with me because I think bounty hunting is probably still the more lucrative game loop, but I think cargo hauling is probably the biggest bang for your buck because I think the cargo ships are a little bit cheaper in game than the combat. I think. So if it were me, I would save up, and again, this is going to cause a lot of people to be mad at me. I'm sorry. Leave it in the comment section. I would invest in the Hull A. The Hull A is a very quick cargo hauler with over 100 SCU. It's external. Yeah, it's an external, so you don't need to throw it into a ramp or worry about having an Atlas.
And cargo gameplay is a consistent income stream too. That's mostly pretty safe.
Yeah.
And I would agree with that. The Hull A is a great ship to target for that.
Yeah.
You get a lot of benefits to be able to have low downtime in your cargo missions. Now that we have to manually load stuff, you have lower downtime, which means you can make more money quicker. So yeah.
Absolutely. And one of the sentiments, watch this segue, this is beautiful. One of the sentiments shared is this idea of Alpha 4.0 wiping the entire database. So I have an article to share. Here we go. I always do that like in the dramatic post for the day, or for the podcast.
Audio scene with it. Dun, dun,
intense
dun.
drop. Here we go. All right. So the big news from the last couple of days.
Yeah.
Star Citizen comes out and says in 4.0 when it drops in like 3 or 4 weeks, it's all gone. Reputation, wallet, items, and they did confirm ships are included with items. So you're losing everything. Yeah. So here's the article if you want to read it yourself. I don't think I need to go word for word. I just basically gave you every high level point. But here it is. I'll leave it up. StarJump Grim.
It has to happen.
What's your reaction? Okay,
Yeah,
what's
I
your
mean, it
reaction?
has to happen. It's to me, this is again, it goes back to that stuff I was saying about this is it's all a testing environment to me. I do not look at any of this stuff as permanent until we get 1.0.
Yes.
CIG has said as much. Although I do think in beta there's going to be a period where they start kind of a soft retention of your stuff, and I think they may let some stuff carry over. But regardless, I think wipes are just part of it. As a matter of fact, sometimes I get excited to see wipes because it
Yeah.
means that they've made enough changes on item or economy, databases that it warrants the wipe. So that sometimes actually gets me excited
Yeah.
because it
Yeah.
means work's gone on.
That's right. Yeah, and that's a unique perspective.
And I say that as someone who just earned, like, I just worked over the last little bit to get like 10 million AUEC through salvage, but it's all going to be gone, and I'm fine with that. It's whatever.
Well,
That's what, and as
yeah.
long as we're moving forward, my friend, as long
Yeah.
as we're moving forward, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, I would argue, and I don't have any data to back this up, but I would argue that most people play the game to play the game. So like they salvage because they like salvaging. They cargo haul because they like cargo hauling. I don't know anybody, my org just crossed 200 members. I don't know anybody, especially in supervision, who monitors their income, and talks about the biggest bang for their buck. Like,
I actually, and I think the biggest reason for that too is there's nothing really to spend money on other than other ships. So the loop is like a closed loop. I do think when we get base building, we'll see a new perspective when it comes to the value of credits in game, and that may start to change. Not only base building and crafting. When those two things come in, I think we'll get a new perspective on what UEC value is, and that's exciting, right? That's going to get really interesting. But you can bet your house that there's going to be several data wipes that come along with base building and crafting.
Yeah.
That's a whole system they're going to have to balance,
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Well, and you talked about its necessity. I think we also need to remember the huge exploitation that happened a couple months ago where CIG banned over 600 accounts. Like, there's still millions, if not billions, of UEC out there that weren't earned, right? So you've got all these massive purchases. I watched a content creator the other day, won't dox them, but had close to 100 million in their UEC, like the most I've seen. Like, what?
Yeah, and there's still active selling of UEC credits and stuff on eBay and other things like that. And the big warning there is that anything you buy like that can get wiped at any time. So just remember that we're still in that phase where nothing is permanent.
Yeah.
Nothing is permanent that is not sitting in your hangar on the RSI website.
Yeah. To include ships. And so whenever the F7C Hornet Mark II announcement came out, where basically they're discontinuing all the Mark I's and they're replacing them with the Mark II's, people were very, very upset about that. But that's in the disclaimer when you make every single purchase, when you log into the game every single time, those disclaimers are like, hey, we have the right to hit the reset button at any point.
At any time, yeah.
So careful.
Yeah, what was it? John Crew recently said to another content creator, and it was communicated to me, is that unless it is literally sitting in your hangar or as a SKU on the website, meaning you can actually purchase something, nothing is permanent.
Yeah.
Like it can and possibly will be changed, and that includes with the Mark I's, as we saw, their willingness to retire models.
Yeah.
So again, this is an evolving landscape, and stuff like that I think will continue to change now that Rich Tyrer is the game director for Star Citizen, and we're starting to see his vision moving forward. So expect some changes.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. All right, moving on to the next piece of news. I don't know. I could drop the intent sound bite, but it wasn't as dramatic as the 4.0. But here we go. So, our best friend over there, Elliot Maltby, and crew drop a an amazing global event. Now, there's some global and there's some instance, but a major event called Safe Stanton. You're seeing it on the screen if you're watching us. It's a three. Okay, let me back up. It's originally 4 phases. The third phase, which was gathering resources, was pushed off. It was pushed back because of requirements and it was failing tests.
Yep.
So phase 3 is pushed out. Phase 4 now becomes phase 3. So bear with me. 3 phases. 3 phases that are in and around the Stanton verse, or the Stanton system. And basically you're disrupting pirate aggression, whether it's cargo hauling, attacking other ships. And first off, I'll respond really quick to my own reactions. I loved everything about it in phase 1 and 2. It's phenomenal. Get yourself a small group. Ping general chat. My experiences have actually been decent about pinging general chat. Get in a group of 2 or 3 and you can knock out phase 1 and phase 2. It is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But phase 3 drops, and phase 3 is the Idris. And if you go back several months ago, the last time we had the content creator Idris competition, the big deal was people were getting in the Idris, stealing it and flying away, and you were never able to see it again on that server.
Yep.
That's 100% what's happening right now. And before we go over to StarJump, Graham, CIG has acknowledged that there's an issue with the Idris and spawning of the 28 to 30 slicer ships. They are working on a solution. It's not here as of the beginning of this podcast, but just lower your expectations going into phase 3. Or just simply wait until CIG announces the fix. But
yeah, and CIG will extend it, I'm sure.
Just like Xenothreat.
They did the same. Yeah, exactly. They did the same thing on Xenothreat.
Yeah.
I actually have not played this event yet. I've read about it, looked at the website and stuff, page that talks about it. It seems really cool. I love these events they're putting in.
Yeah.
I really love the event to get the F7A token. I thought that was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So I love that they do this. It's very clear that they're still sort of testing these sort of events to see how and what scale and what scope they work in. The Idris issue specifically, I think, highlights it kind of reminds you of the idea that there is a physicalness to these ships and the NPCs in the verse, because the entire reason we can steal the Idris is because it is actually piloted by a character, right? A character entity. It's not just like auto-piloted or something for the mission. So it kind of a little bit of that like systemic way CIG builds things. That's why we can steal the Idris.
Yeah.
So it's always interesting to kind of see that, because a lot of people go, why don't they just lock it down and where you can't steal it? And it's like, well, it would break how the game is currently set up for the future. Which so interesting. I plan on getting into it later tonight, though.
Yeah. Well, you're not missing much. Like you said, they're more than likely, and I think it was Overdrive Initiative that they extended the last mission into Xenothreat. Yeah. That guarantee you that's what's going to happen, especially with IAE and all the competing priorities that are happening in the next 2 or 3 weeks. This will be going through December, I think. Yeah. I got a question for you. Like, and I know this is kind of dramatic, or maybe a little bit. So answer at your own will. How much do you blame the community for stealing it? Like let's just pretend for a second it is malintent. It's malintent. Yeah. Somebody gets in there and says, you know what, screw the community. I don't care about the laser repeaters, so I'm going to make sure no one gets it. So they're out, they get into the address, they take it, they steal it, and they fly away. Do you hold that against the player for being capable of doing it, or choosing to do it? Or do you blame CIG for not having a fix in place? Like, where do you stand? Because, caveat, I agree with you. Like, you want to have the option to do that, because that is Star Citizen.
Yeah.
So you don't want to handcuff, but how much do you put on the gamer in that situation?
Yeah, I don't know if I blame either one of them, to be honest with you. I think CIG is building a world where they want as many things possible that can happen to happen, and the gamer is exploiting that game design to do exactly that, to make what can happen possibly happen. So I think it's neither a good thing or a bad thing that it happens, and I don't really look at anyone to blame. I look at it as, hopefully CIG is looking at that and saying either That's unfortunate for this event, but it's exactly what we want for the larger game world. And if that is what they're thinking, which I personally think it is, I think that goes directly into what we saw at the CitizenCon presentation, and when Richard Tyre was talking about Star Citizen 1.0. And if you remember, what did he say? He said we're going to have instanced content going forward. And
Mm,
one of the things he talked about in instanced content was fleet battles. Okay, not that I'm saying this is a fleet battle, but what I could see happening in the future is them moving things like this event into an instanced sort of thing that you will queue for and go into. In that world where it's an instanced closed off space to do this type of stuff, um, they might have more control over some of those systemic game design elements that would prevent you from stealing the Idris or prevent you from doing this. Now,
yeah.
there's going to be people out there for sure that will say, I don't like Grimm's idea. I want it to be all out in the open world,
Yeah.
and I want it to be totally, just built into the open verse, and what happens happens. And I think that's fine. I think we just need to accept that if it's going to be out in the open playground, then people are going to come at the situation differently than maybe what the game design is intended. And
Yeah.
I don't think there's ever a way for CIG to get ahead of that. Because let's say they do lock down the Idris, then someone will find the next loophole.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that next loophole could be something we're not even thinking of right now. That's just game design. I don't know of any game design company, and I have a lot of friends in game design. I don't know of any company that's ever to just purely lock down a game
Right.
to where it's unexploitable. It's just impossible.
Yeah.
So I think specifically going back to that instance stuff, I see a future here where some of these events are instanced.
Yeah.
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 I'm not saying that's preferred. I'm just saying
Right.
that's what I see. That's where I see it going. That's
Well,
where I see it going.
it's definitely kind of the easier solution, I think,
Yeah.
and that's why other games, have instance content. Is it's kind of easier to close it off. I would love for it to, because they already do loading screens in the back end. Like you already can't feel or can't see loading
Yeah.
screens. I would love for that transition into the instanced, like almost like instance tingers, to just feel seamless. Like as long as that is kept in place and it feels
And
seamless,
remember,
do it.
there's no reason why every phase has to be seamless. So, for example, phase one, phase two could be all open world,
Mm,
systemic within the verse that we currently have, and you
yeah.
get that experience. But then the boss battle, if you want to call it that,
The raid.
where you fight the Idris, the raid part
Yeah,
of it, then is an instance thing. I
that's
don't
fair.
think, I don't, I think that's a happy medium. I think it's a good balance. And ultimately, it's a way for CIG to control and curate the experience, because I think that's what they're trying to do when they do these things like the Idris battle and the Xenothreat one where you board the Idris and stuff. It's
Yeah,
quite obvious they're trying to create a curated experience. They're not trying to
correct.
create this like open world, completely emergent thing. They're obviously trying to create some sort of curated uh, combat, combined arms experience, and the best way to do that is in an instanced environment.
Yeah, agreed. Agreed.
Again, and I'm not, and until I play the instance version, I can't even say if that's technically better from an experience standpoint or worse. I'm just saying I think that's from a game designer standpoint. Because actually, I originally went to school for game design. From a game designer
I
standpoint,
can't tell.
that's where I'm thinking it would go.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, I think so there was a content creator that him and I were going back and forth on Twitter, X, whatever. And I think in the PTU it was designed where if you killed the pilot, because that's the only way to fly the Idris, if you killed the pilot, mission's done. Like that's it. Like you're successful at the raid, which at that point you can do whatever you want with the Idris. I think that kind of makes sense, and for whatever reason that didn't carry over into the live PU. So I think that's another like easy fix. But yeah, I think the instant solution, it's going to have to happen regardless. They already talked about in Citizen Con with the, I think it's R Corp with the sub layers. You get to go into one layer and I forgot what they call that all. But yeah,
and that was a bit of a controversial announcement, the whole
it was.
instance thing. But I
Yeah.
really don't see how an MMO does large scale stuff without it. Again, as a longtime player of MMOs, I played WoW since 2005. The Scarab Wall event in WoW, if anyone's familiar with
Yeah.
it, there's a reason you don't pile a ton of people in one area to do a timed and precise thing,
Yeah.
because it will go badly. and the experience is going to be horrible. Yes, it
Yeah.
makes for some great mythos, but ultimately it's not a good experience. And I don't see any way CIG's getting around doing that. Not with the game, the fidelity they're going for.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right, so we're about halfway through, and we are starting the namesake for today's episode for IAE. I'm going to share my screen for those of you on Spotify video and on YouTube. We're going to watch the What is IAE video. It's 30 seconds to 45 seconds. It's 43 seconds to be exact. We're going to watch it real quick, and then we're going to talk all things IAE, get into ship discussions, and get into Grimm's reaction to all of it. So enjoy.
Welcome to IAE 2954, the biggest in-game spaceship convention in the Star Citizen universe. Every year, the Intergalactic Aerospace Expo invites players to explore the universe. You can dive in and play for free during the convention, whether you're into mining, hauling, bounty hunting, or something else entirely. Join the celebration. Check out the ships up close. Over 150 vehicles are free to fly during the convention, with a different ship manufacturer and lineup featured every day.
Boom. Who's motivated? It's funny. Every time I see a video like that, I'm like, why can't I get my frames per second that smooth? Like, I would love for my in-game to look like that.
One day, my friend, one day. Yeah, no, that's the goal. That's the goal.
It's good.
Yeah, it's exciting. See, it's always fun when the first trailers and stuff come out for these events.
Yeah. I think that's a really good, like, what is IAE, but my favorite video we're going to get to in a couple seconds, but that entrance of the Polaris over Microtech is sexy.
Killer.
Yeah,
Killer.
sexy. Yeah. So here you go, everybody. If you're looking at my screen, we are 3 hours and 24 minutes. I don't think that's right. Let me refresh my screen. I don't think that's right, because I think it's 10 o'clock. Yep, there we go. Updated.
Yeah,
we are
coming quick.
1 hour and 11 minutes. So right now it's 8:48 a.m. Central. It's going to be 10 a.m. Central when it all drops. And we got a bunch of new things this IAE. I have an email directly from CIG. I want to read y'all here in a couple of seconds. But you do not know all the things that are coming. There are surprises beyond the Polaris and Star Lancer and the ships that we know of from the PTU. Yep. So this conversation in the next 30 to 45 minutes, I think, is going to be a very engrossing one. But just quickly, let's go through IAE and what to expect. Every IAE is always at Microtech. Unlike ILW, so Invictus Launch Week, rotate system by system, this is always in Microtech. It's November 22nd through December 5th at the Expo Center. The Tobin? Is it Tobin? Does that sound right?
Yes.
That sounds right. Okay. Yeah, the Tobin Expo Center. Yeah. We're going to watch this video in just a second so we can get super motivated. But here is the expo schedule for all 15 days. So me and StarJump are going to go through, not every single day specifically, but what excites us, what are we interested in, maybe some sleepers, maybe some ships that people don't necessarily fly a lot, like the Apoa series, I think has some sleepers. The Asperia has some sleepers. But yeah, we're going to get into that here in a second. But real quick, I'm going to show the video that I'm talking about. And then, Graham, I want your initial reactions and predictions. So here we go. I love this video. I'm a sucker.
Clearly the best entry of a ship ever.
Oh, I know.
They nailed it. Yeah, it's really cool. I love that trailer. I watched it like too many times, probably.
Yeah, I'm a sucker for a good Brahms drop, like the boom.
Oh yeah. Yes,
give
absolutely.
it to me. All right, Grim.
And yeah, and this trailer is all about one thing. It's about heading to IAE, but more importantly, it's the main kind of narrative here is the arrival of the Polaris.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's a ship long in development. I think it was originally concepted in 2017, if I'm not wrong. I believe so. So sure, someone will correct me if I'm wrong. So it's just been long in development, long on the back burner. So to see this ship finally arriving, I think there is a little bit of a celebration around it anytime an old ship finally gets ticked off the backlog list.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was it always considered a capital ship, or did they just change it to a capital ship?
It was kind of like the Pioneer in that it was like a mix of weird stuff. So I think originally it did have like a capital component or two, but then it had some larges and stuff like that, and it was kind of all over the place. Now CIG's really sort of changed their ethos on that, where capital is sort of, well, capital is a very loose term.
It is.
At CIG. I could go into that for ages, but but I think now when they're building these capital ships and the way they've rebalanced components, they had to go through and just make it all capital. The ship also grew a little bit from its original concept, not much, but it did grow a little bit. About I think it was about 13, 14 meters it grew. But regardless, the rebalance on the components and stuff, it's now a proper capital ship.
Yeah, and we kind of talked about it a couple minutes ago, but do you think this overwhelms IAE? Like, do you think IAE becomes the Polaris show? Polaris? Do you think it becomes all about it? Does it overshadow the entire event?
Normally I would say yes, but I think it was wise for CIG to target IAE or CitizenCon for this in terms of its and put it in the PTU. You let people get some face time with it. You let a little bit of its new luster wear off, so that when we go into IAE, while it's going flight ready for IAE, there's enough meat on the bone for other manufacturers and stuff, and because we've set with the Polaris for a bit now, I don't think it's going to take too much away.
Yeah, I hope so. I had asked go ahead.
The real question, I think, is just related to one's wallet. You know what I mean? Do you want to sink your purchasing resources into that ship or diversify out to a bunch of different ships? I think that's probably the harder question for people.
What a brilliant question. So I feel sorry for a lot of people out there that they're looking at their checking account and their credit card limit, and they're like,
Yeah, and it's going to probably go up in price, so be ready.
Yeah, that's right. So again, quickly, I don't want to waste valuable time going over like what's happening every day. But if you go through the free fly, so first off, the free fly is November 22nd through December 5th. So anybody can fly any ship. Now here is what's interesting for free fly. If you're new to the game and you want to dabble in, go for it. This is a kind of a I would advise against joining IAE for your first ever experience, because servers are going to be overloaded. You can't really do a whole lot. It's going to be rough. Just set your expectations. But if you do, you're going to be given a brand new ship. It's going to be the Crusader Intrepid, which I can't wait to hear Grim's response on the Intrepid. But you're going to be given the Intrepid to fly to the Microtech Expo Center, but then you have access to all 150 plus ships just like anyone else. So it's free fly across all ships, but you're going to see the Intrepid mentioned quite a few times. Just know that you have access to all 150 plus. But you saw the calendar. You can come to this article. Again, it's through the robertsspaceindustries.com website to see what ships are where. Now, I have combed this entire list, and I think maybe Grim has as well. There are no surprises, nor should there be. They're not going to put like a brand new ship that they haven't even teased on this roster and ruin the surprise. So there's nothing on here that hasn't been in the PTU. But let me pause right here. When you comb through the ships, did anything stand out to you as a surprise or maybe a sleeper vehicle?
No, nothing really stood out. I do think some of the tried and true ships are still going to be very popular during IAE for people to pick up. Like ships like the Spirit series and there's others. And there's always those ships that people just want to get that aren't normally available. And some of those I think are sleeper ships that people love to have. But no big surprises.
Yeah.
No big surprises.
If there was one or two ships, and let's not go limited hull, which I don't even think you can I don't think you can fly the is the A90 jump. Can you fly the A90 jump on Origin Day?
I don't think so. Maybe you can rent it. I'm
Yeah, I
not
don't.
sure though. I'm not. You know what? I've never tried to do that.
Brilliant question.
Yeah.
I have a few of them. But anyways, is there one or two ships that you would recommend? Hey, on this day, you should absolutely fly these one or two ships.
Well, I think it's just my nostalgia coming in, but if you, I feel like if you're new to Star Citizen, and I think one ship that everyone has to fly just once is the Cuddy Black. I think that's like if you're just coming to game, you got to
Staple.
give the Cuddy a try. It's a nice staple. In addition to that, I would probably throw. I would say this honestly right now, the best kind of all rounder. Personally, I would say is either the Zeus or the Spirit series. I think those are
Mm,
really strong ships that are going to be easily soloable, but also good for a small crew. I think they're kind of the epitome of like the the ship sweet spot for Star Citizen. They're no longer starters, but they're also not large ships. They're right in that area where you can do day-to-day stuff. So I think a new player coming into Star Citizen experiencing those ships will give you a good idea of what future day-to-day playing of Star Citizen will be like. You know what I mean?
yeah.
In terms of like your ship experience. Because you're not going to be taking out your Kraken every day, right? And you're probably not going to be flying your Cutter every minute either. I think that
Yeah.
everyone will naturally gravitate towards that level of ship at some point, and that will be kind of the bread and butter.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I would probably recommend that. I mean, probably the number one though I would say is just the Cuddy Black. It was one of my first experiences in the game. I was like, oh, this is cool. So I would recommend that if you
Yeah.
haven't flown it already.
Yeah, that's
And I'm
absolutely.
sure everyone's got a different opinion for that one. Some people would say the freelancer, some people would say the whatever. But yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, I think the majority, if not everybody I've ever spoken to, recommends the black as your starter. So I think
yeah,
Douglas was the writer who asked us about the Mustang Alpha.
yeah,
If you have the chance and you have the disposable income to ship upgrade, like
yeah.
the Cutlass Black is hands down probably the best quote unquote starter ship in the game. You can do the most. You can do the most with the black.
Yeah.
So I do agree with that. I also echo your sentiment. If like know where you're at and like are you an org player, a small platoon player, a small team player? Like know where you're at and then test out like the next level. So if you know that you're not going to have 80 people, don't check out the javelin. Don't do it.
Right.
Like whatever. Like you're gonna enjoy it for a couple
Try not to
seconds.
focus on it. Yeah.
Yeah, use this time. Use this time to truly test out what you might be budgeting for the next couple weeks. So I agree with your sentiment wholeheartedly.
Yeah, I agree.
I also agree with the Zeus. I think the Zeus was a surprise to me. Like I knew it was going to be good, but I didn't realize just how good it was going to be.
I mean, I agree with CAG. I think it's a milestone in their ship development in terms of just quality,
Yeah.
And I recently flew the Spirit again after having not flown it for a while, and I forgot how good that one is too. I mean, just really well-rounded in everything. It approaches the problems a little differently than the Zeus series does, but they're both equally great ships. I would highly encourage people to check them out.
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely. Well, I kind of want to get through the FAQ and I want to go through the ships with you, the new ships.
all right.
So, real quick, the FAQ did drop and it just covers a bunch of the standard information for IAE, like how do I rent a ship and where is everything at. But there's some gold nuggets here as well. And I didn't even prep you for this, Grim, so I apologize. But we have the best in show paints. So there's been some leaks, and I don't want to talk about leaks, so let's not do that. But there's always like a really good interest around the best in show.
And I think they're on the actual IAE page that CIG put up. So,
Oh, the colors are already there?
Yep, they're there. You can see them. They put the image for it. Yeah.
On this one?
No, the IAE page, the one you had up a minute ago.
Okay.
Yeah, but that page, when you scroll down, you'll find the paints for those 4 ships. There may be other things for those as well. Yeah, this countdown. I think if you scroll down, you'll see an image. Or maybe it's the other IAE. They spread out their IAE pages so strange.
Yeah, it's a little
It may
little
be the
awkward.
one that's got the days and stuff listed.
Oh, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
yeah.
Okay, the FAQ.
Yeah.
So let's do. It might actually be here.
Yeah.
Dang it. Well, I'll find it while we're talking.
Either way, yeah, no worries,
because
no
if it's out, I want to share it. But if it's not out and it was leaked, I don't want to share it.
Yes, it is out.
Okay, so if it is out, what are the colors? Like, explain them to me while I try to find it.
Well, so I'm colorblind, so I'm like the
Oh, no.
worst person to ask.
I'm so sorry.
So I'm like the worst person to ask. But I think it's like a blue, purple, and light gray or something like that. Yeah.
Okay.
I only saw them once. I saw the image once, and I haven't looked at it again. But I think that's what it is. Yeah.
Okay, so let's do. Is the free fly maybe? Let's do.
Maybe it was the free fly
Copy
page.
link.
It's on one of them. It's on one of them.
You know, it's funny. I used to get like weird about, like trying to find things real time. But if you listen to Joe Rogan, that dude takes like 5 minutes to find something.
I know.
He asked Jamie, he's like, "Hey Jamie, find X, Y, Z," and then 5 minutes later they go back. So I don't really care too much about this. But okay, so here's.
Yeah. So scroll down a little bit.
Let's go like all the way to the bottom. You think?
Yeah, you probably have to go near the bottom. Go on. Scroll up a little bit.
Oh, there's the Academy.
Yep, there's the Academy.
We'll talk about it in a second. Finale, best in show.
There they are. That's the image.
Okay.
There. Those are the paints. Yep.
There you go.
Those are the 4 finalists and the 4 paints on them.
Beautiful.
I think it looks great on the Spirit, Terrapin, F8. The Reclaimer's a little odd.
It's a little weird, right?
I would have maybe referred like an inverse of that, but yeah.
Yeah. Okay. This is the first time I'm looking at it. Isn't this similar to last year we had like a dark purple and like green, like it was like teal purple, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, and they had some like wavy lines going through them.
Yeah. So they like their purple.
Yeah.
All right. Very cool. All right. Well, I'm glad we got that figured out.
There you go.
All right.
Surprise ruined.
Yeah, I know. Well, there we go. I'm actually okay with that. So cool. So it almost matches like the logo, the IAE logo that we have here as well. So very cool. All right. So the best in show paints, that took us way too long to figure out. All right. So the best in show ship pack with the Anvil F8C Lightning. So I think this is a really good pull because your very first podcast with me was called The Ticket, when they were introducing the F8C Lightning and how you would get it and through the ticket process. So it's almost like we come full circle. So it's one best in slot. It's one best in show. And the controversy here is that it was always, you just heard Grimm say that as a Praetorian, and even before that, you get the F8C Lightning, and as a Praetorian, you get the executive edition version of that. So it's this, you have to pay a lot of money to become a concierge member to get that ship. It was always elusive. Exclusive, but now it's available for everybody. So this question, I think the community was like, in CIG's face, I'm going to vote for the Lightning so it wins, so you have to give it to us for free. I thought that was like an interesting pull, but I'm just going to read this.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just going to read this real quick, and then I'd love to discuss the F8C Lightning and how we feel about it. But all right, so the question, will there be a best in show ship pack with the Anvil F8C Lightning? It's kind of a yes and no answer. So yes, there will be 2 ship packs this year. The best in show complete pack will include the F8C Lightning along with other Ship Showdown 2954 semifinalists, the Crusader Spirit, the Anvil Terrapin, and the Aegis Reclaimer. If you have previously redeemed your F8C certification pass or the gold license at an in-game rental, you will be able to obtain this best in show complete pack. So in order to get the Best in Show complete pack with all 4 plus the posters plus the paint, you have to have found a golden ticket.
Very interesting choice.
Yes. Otherwise, there is a pack without it. So the Spirit, Terrapin, and Reclaimer. Grimm, how should we feel about this?
I don't totally know. I get what they're doing. I get the elusiveness. I also get that they need to monetize this game, so I'm a little split on it. It wouldn't shock me if they open up another golden ticket hunt during IAE, even especially on Anvil Day. I could see that happening. They've done that a few times in the past already, So I could see that happening. Again, I think this is like a little bit of a soft exclusiveness that they're doing. It's still good. You can just multiple ways to get it,
Yeah.
but it's not as easy to get as some of the other ships. So it seems like they're kind of toeing the middle of the road here
Yeah.
on where to lean on this. And I think they're going to run into this issue on other ships as well in the future. Hull limited ships are kind of have this issue, in terms of like you kind of need to sell them if you're going to put development resources into them, but you also need to have exclusivity to them. Going back to the Star System 1.0 panel again, though, I remind everybody that a lot of these military ships you're not going to be able to just buy in the future in game.
Yeah.
You're going to have to earn through reputation grinds to get the blueprints or the ability to buy them. So I think
right.
military ships specifically are going to get hard to get. That's why we pay more on real money for them, because they in game will require a bigger rep grind, I think. So
it's a good call. Yeah. Good call. And I think this is interesting. This is very, very, very important. In fact, I'm probably going to clip this and put it on TikTok and everything else. This is super important. If you have the F8C Lightning with the 6-month insurance, there's a free upgrade to 120-month insurance on Anvil's day. You have to do this. That goes from half a year to 10 years.
Yeah. I mean, that's a smart move by CIG. Smart move.
Yeah.
Again, that type of stuff builds. To me, that stuff builds confidence that you can get a pledge ship or get a ship in other ways, and CIG will rectify insurance issues moving forward.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of people that hold off buying a ship because it's got 6-month insurance because they want to find a way to get 10 months insurance or 10-year insurance or whatever.
Yeah.
So showing that CIG can be flexible on stuff and change how you get from A to B on some of this stuff is really good.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm one of those people too that I'm honestly perfectly okay with them selling LTI and 10-year insurance tokens on the website, to be quite honest with you, for $10 or whatever the case may be, $20. I'd be fine with that.
Yeah. That would make buying ships a lot easier. I wouldn't have to wait and F5 war some of these.
Yeah, exactly.
And then for you and I, as old as we are, 120 months is lifetime insurance. So
that's right. Yes, exactly.
We'll all be dead soon. Okay, moving on. All right, so limited hull ships. This is always fun. Now, this is not a weird flex. I have all the limited hull ships. So what was once fun to kind of look forward to and do the F5 war, I'll never really have to experience again. And I'm actually weirdly sad about that. I can recall memories of being up at 3 a.m. in the morning. My brother and I finger over the F5 key. The moment it hits, we're like, boom.
As of Invictus, I'm done with the limited hull I wanted. So I'm over.
Yeah.
No more F5 wars to me.
It's kind of a peaceful feeling, but
I finally added the Javelin last Invictus. So
that's a pretty penny.
I've hit the end of the road on that.
Yeah, it's like you're happy to get it, and then once you're done with it, you're like, oh, sticker shock.
I know. It's a little painful, but it's all right.
All right. So for the news, we got 3 waves, just like any other limited hull schedule. I was asked the other day, what does the prior day mean? So wave 2 is 0000 UTC or 4 p.m. Pacific the prior day. This is all time zones. It's all time zones. So the best way to do this, I would ignore the UTC and just look at the far right column. It's 8 a.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Pacific, and midnight Pacific. Just boom, done.
Yep.
Don't overthink this. And then, so the days are 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8. So almost the first week of IAE, and that's to get the Idris P, the Javelin, the Hull E, Constellation Phoenix, which I'm going to tell you not to do in just a second, the Consolidated Outland Pioneer, Drake Kraken Privateer, and the 890 Jump. Quickly to the Constellation Phoenix, then I'll throw it over to Grim. Just wait until the Emerald comes out around St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah. That holiday,
Fortuna. Fortuna. But wait until then, because there's even a more exclusive version of the Phoenix. So Constellation Phoenix Emerald. So if you want the white one with the green highlights, it's super sexy. They actually have, it's not even an F5 war. You just go and you pick up the pack that has it, and then you can exchange the other ships for LTI tokens. So just my advice there. Grim, what are your thoughts on the stock limited ships? Advice? Any reactions to this?
My biggest advice is if you throw it in your cart and it's sold out by the time you try to process payment, leave it in your cart.
Absolutely.
Because on the next wave, with it being in your cart, you've already skipped step one, and you can easily pay for it the next time. I heightened your chance of winning. I did this exact thing on the Javelin. The other thing is, again, if you're buying War Bond, you have a decent chance. If you're doing credit, all I can say is good luck. It is fast.
Almost impossible.
Two other things to note is that if you purchase an Idris P on Aegis Day, it will open up the ability for you to buy the Idris K conversion kit.
Yeah.
Same thing with the Kraken is when you buy a Kraken, it'll then open up to where you can buy the Kraken Privateer conversion kit. You won't see those though until you either purchase the Kraken or purchase the Idris. So important thing to note there. And the last thing I guess I'll say is that with our recent Pioneer news, the fact that the Pioneer is going into development, the fact that it's the linchpin to build a space station, you can bet your butt that that one is going to go very fast. So if you're trying to get a Pioneer with credit, I'm just going to give you the double salute and wish you luck. So it's going to be tough.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't wait for the Pioneer, and that is scheduled, sort of, trademark for next year. So I'll believe it when I see it, but it's
it's coming out next year.
Okay.
I think it's in production. I think that ship is a year and a half out for sure. But it's in production and it is moving forward because, from what I've been told, it is very important to the future Star Citizen. So
yeah, absolutely. That is going to be the hot commodity. I think the hot ticket item will be the Pioneer, especially after CitizenCon. So.
And I did hear that Ben Curtis, CIG vehicle art director, was very surprised to learn, he was actually quite shocked to learn, that there's an entire org of Pioneer owners. There's an org out there, I forget what they're called, where everyone in the org has a Pioneer, and he was shocked to hear that because he was like, really, it's limited? And he's like, but again, I think sometimes these devs forget how popular some of these ship concepts are.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Oh yeah, people will spend the money. If you have it. So if they were to announce another capital ship in the next couple of weeks, I guarantee you there will be a lot of us idiots out there that, sure, let's find a way to pay for it.
Might be one coming. Yeah. That's all I'm gonna say. Might be one coming.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think we're pretty confident about that one. Okay, so a couple episodes ago, I did reveal. I did express to y'all that I have this amazing opportunity with CIG to be one of their content creators. So again, that's more about y'all and the community than it is about me. So I can't wait to announce some of this information. And this is hot off the press. I got this like an hour and a half ago, right before I started recording. I will have a ship giveaway for this IAE for the Crusader Intrepid, so stand by for details on that. I have to ideate on what that looks like, but just know you're hearing it here first. But beyond that, there's some gold nuggets here that I've already shared with Grim ahead of the podcast, but sharing it with you now. So first off, here's a little sentence in here about this year's event introduces the IAE Academy. After completing the new player experience, pilots can access new missions that offer rewards such as armor and weapons, a backpack, and more. And then Grim, you had a reaction to this. What was your comment?
To me, I think it's an extension of sort of the Foundation, or I think it's called Foundation Festival or something, where it's kind of leading new people. I think it makes sense that they would build one around IAE, though. That makes a lot of sense, especially since you're having a free fly for new people. And I'm interested in it. Sounds cool. I love that they're listing out some interesting rewards, such as armor, weapons, and backpack again. So, I'm interested. I think it's probably something I'll participate in.
Yep. Yeah, I would agree. It has something to do with the guide system or an extension of the guide system. That's the Foundation that you were talking about. This is the piece I'm kind of hanging my hat on. The access new missions. Yeah. So the guide system is like, Grim is brand new to the game. He says, I want to learn about something. He clicks on combat. Well, me as a tenured gamer can go into the guide system and say, you know what, I want to teach somebody about combat, and it'll put us together. I teach them, and then we get a reward. We both get an award, like a paint scheme for a ship. But there's no mission involved in that. This is specifically saying access new missions. So I'm very enticed on what that is.
I think this may be something that is revealing a little bit of their plans for the new player experience as well. We know there's going to be a new player experience, a more robust one than there currently is. We know that they're going to do a Star Citizen main story. I could totally see this sort of thing, this IAE Academy, sort of being part of the lore narrative, right?
Yeah.
That it's for the entire reason they're calling it an academy and stuff like that. Again, they're dressing it in some of that marketing lore language, but that could also fit really nicely into an actual in-game lore-driven new player experience type event. So we'll see. I'm excited for it though.
Yeah. 100%.
And again, I love all this stuff. It helps new players. I'm all about it. So.
Yeah, I love the engagement between like a new player and a tenured.
But before I came
that.
to Star Citizen, we ran a pretty robust Arma 3 milsim unit, and our niche that we carved out for ourselves was we wanted to be the milsim unit that helped new players who'd never done milsim before get up to speed. So we were
That's
almost
cool.
like an academy in and of ourselves. So I really like that type of stuff.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. This hopefully feels very similar to that, which I think it is. We're gonna find out in 43 minutes. So
Right.
it's just funny. Like I was thinking about delaying this, but I'm like, you know what? We already have this. You and I did a lot to schedule for this, but we're gonna find out everything that we're speculating is gonna be told in 43 minutes. So
That's right.
Yeah, the next thing that comes out, we know about the Polaris and Starlancer, but we have even more surprises in store for you.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and just take a second real quick. Tinfoil hats. I don't know. Let's just have fun with this.
Yeah, let's put on the speculative.
You or me first?
Let's have you go first.
Damn it.
Let's have you go first.
All right, man. So here
You on the chopping block first.
I know, and this my community loves and hates me for it, but here's the deal. The Idris is ready, and like every indicator is the Idris is ready. You can steal it and fly it. We talked about that a couple of minutes ago. It's been announced 3 different times this year in 3 different events. From the beginning of the year to the whole content creator contest, and now this one, Xenothreat had an Idris battle as well.
Yeah.
So all this integration, and then I don't think CIG. I want to make a weird statement. I don't think they're happy that Squadron 42 is getting pushed out to 2026. So the promise that they made about you're not going to get the Idris until Squadron 42, I can see them meeting us halfway and say, you know what, we understand the community is like they really wanted Squadron 42 this year or next year. I can see them saying, you know what, we're ready for the Idris. Here is your second capital ship. And it would make sense because right now the Polaris has no competition, right? The Polaris, you're going to have 75 Polarises flying around IAE. It's an incredible powerhouse. We saw it last night on the Org Night, which is streamed on YouTube. You can go watch it. We had four Polarises taking out enemy that we didn't have to move. We sat still. They're going to need a formidable force. So I think we're going to be a step closer to the Idris. Whether it happens in the next 2 weeks, I see it happening. It's ready. People are flying it right now as we speak. So there's my tinfoil hat. What do you got, Grim?
Can I crush that theory?
Do it. Crush it, man. I need it crushed.
I think we're not going to get the Idris or Javelin anytime soon. Yeah. We're still going to get it with Squadron. But the reason I think that is because it's very clear that the Idris and Javelin have gone through some major reworks. Those were revealed during the Squadron 42 gameplay thing that Rich did on stage. The Idrises that we're seeing in game right now are the old ones. I think what CIG may do is on Aegis Day or one of these days, they may pull back the curtain on what the Idris and Javelin now look like. Very clearly, there has been some major exterior changes to those ships. I don't think any of the interiors have changed, but the exteriors are radically different than what we've seen in game currently. So I think CIG is going to pull back the curtain on that, because they want to warm us up to the changes here, because they can't just drop that bomb. They're going to warm us up to that, and then probably even do an ISC on it in a few months. And then when we do eventually get those, maybe it's next Invictus or next IAE, we'll get the newer versions of those ships that match the fidelity level of the Polaris.
Yeah.
That's again, for those of you that have seen any of my streams, I've done a couple streams focusing on those changes. I mean, both the Idris and Javelin have received radical changes. If you pull up the I Held the Line video of Squadron 42, and then you pull up the Rich Trier playthrough, literally only a year apart, the same exact angled shots of the Javelin, they look like two different ships. Like, everything's been changed on the exterior. New engines, new greeble cladding, new even some silhouette changes, which is shocking on the Idris. The Idris has full-on silhouette changes. It's not just they change some greebles and stuff. There's major changes. Even on the newer Idris, some significant turret changes and stuff. So I was actually pretty shocked. But I think CIG is going to pull back the curtain on those changes, and I think that's exciting.
Yeah, I mean, I hate everything you just said, but
you should love it, because the new version is looking much better than the old versions.
All joking aside, I can absolutely agree with everything you just said. Man, it's I wasn't even thinking about the Javelin, but we're close to the Javelin too.
Now, you want me to give you my tinfoil hat?
Please.
Okay. On Anvil Day, we know we are getting a new concept image, or a new concept ship. Well, image actually works too. New concept ship. We know what that ship is called. I won't say it, just in case this is not a leak-centered show. But we know what that new ship is technically called, and we know what it technically is for the most part. Okay. However, and we think we have a good idea of its size and length. However, I'm not going to name any names because I don't want to call them out, but there's some people that dig through code that are better than others, some that are really knowledgeable on how to get into some of the code. And what has been discovered is that there is a space on the show floor on Anvil Day that's big enough for about a ship in the 126 meter range, so Carrack sized. But it's not the Carrack. But here's where it gets interesting. It seemed to be, when this person was looking around, it seemed to be a space for the ship, a rental kiosk, and, weirdly, a holo viewer right next to it.
Oh, interesting.
Which would seem to indicate that maybe there's two variants of a new ship available, one flight ready, that's a total surprise, and one not flight ready. So when thinking about ships in that size range, I don't think it's the Crucible, I don't think it's the Liberator, because we would have known about those. I'm starting to really wonder if we're about to get a couple variants of the Carrack. And specifically, we've heard recently from Mark Gibson and Dan McCabe, I think, that the Carrack is getting some love in the IAE patch. I think they fixed some things. Part of the reason I think they've fixed some things is because they're working on variants of the ship. Now, I could be totally wrong. There's nothing in the files that say it's a Carrack variant, but all we know is that there's a space big enough on the show floor for a Carrack-sized ship that has a holo viewer next to it and a rental panel. So that's my theory. Carrack variants, I don't know what those would be, but that's my wild tinfoil hat theory.
So I can almost guarantee you that that's true. I'll validate it in a couple of seconds, but but I do think you're 100% accurate, and so I'm gonna call it right now on the show that is happening. And the reason why I say that is for CitizenCon Morphologist. Morphologist is sitting down with a CIG. I don't know who the CIG individual was. Dan McCabe. He's just Yeah, and so they were demonstrating blast shields that would cover up the front of a Carrack.
And I think that is an old video or old model he pulled up, and I think there's a much more further along developed one than what they showed.
Can't wait.
That's what I think. That's what I think.
No, I can't wait, dude. Like, I hope you are right, because my favorite ship in the game to this day is the Carrack. Right, Wrong, or Indifferent. It's the one JRDF.
Yep, JRDF. Yep.
JRDF. It's my one model that I've bought and painted. Like, it is my favorite ship. So give me all the variants. I will buy all of them.
I think too that one of the other things they do is they probably have made it to where the cargo pods can lower at least, and the doors open so that we can lower cargo. That's probably
Please.
happen. At least I hope it is.
Please, yeah. Like, that makes, like, so I took out my Carrack for the first time in a long time yesterday, and I went through those 3 huge ass containers. I'm like, what are they doing here? You can't even put boxes in here if you wanted to. Like,
yes. Yep.
Oh man. Okay. Well, I love your ideas. I hate your idea about the Idris, but I think you're spot on.
Yeah. Sorry.
I'll tell you, you're probably spot on about the Carracks for sure. That'd be exciting.
Let's hope. Let's see.
All right. Let's go. Polaris. More surprises. There was one more, I thought. No, that was it. All right. Yeah. So let's actually go into for the next couple of minutes. We don't have to go a lot into this, but I do want to go through all the new ships and just get your overall impressions. And so I kind of want to start off with the CSV, something super small, super tiny to share, but this along with the Star Lancer were sold during CitizenCon, so we're going to start with the smaller one. Have you been able to take this out, look at it? What are your thoughts on the CSV?
I have. It's just a little pickup truck. Nothing too amazing with it. It does what it does well. It carries boxes. Again, I think it's just something for them to sell during CitizenCon because they weren't selling any of the base building vehicles. So
yeah.
No real opinion on it other than that. It's kind of a good little utility vehicle. I think with bases it would become a lot more interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. For $45, it's an okay ship. It's kind of like, I don't know, our ship, a ground asset.
I'd buy it in game personally.
Yeah, 100%. What I think the coolest part is this front left compartment actually has a very specific multi-tool compartment. So you can just deploy. You can't put anything else in there, but you can put a multi-tool in there. And so just that kind of concept is pretty, or that attention to detail is cool.
Pretty cool.
The downside about it, you would think this is a 4 SCU truck. So I tried putting an 8 SCU, like store it all container. Mm-hmm. It doesn't lock in. It doesn't stay in. It actually glitches out. So I'm like, that's stupid. Like,
a little unfortunate. Yeah.
If you can fit a 4 SCU, you could probably fit an 8 SCU. But all right, Star Lancer. And sorry that everybody can hear me typing.
Yep.
But we have 3 variants, 2 that are released. The DUR is the building one, obviously not released. TAC will more than likely be released in IAE. Maybe.
Possibly. We'll see. Yeah, I could see them doing that. Yep.
What are your thoughts on the Star Lancers?
I think Star Lancer is an awesome ship, really cool. I know some people have some issues with the space used by habitation in it, but I think they put a lot of really cool RP kind of fantasy stuff into the ship, and it very much is the super freelancer. If you look at the original concept images, that's what they were going for, and I think they did a good job with that. I do think the Max should be the base variant though, and they should come out with a real Max that has more cargo space instead of the habitation. Obviously, the TAC is the sort of like the Freelancer Miss, and then the Star Lancer BLD is the
BLD.
Variant.
That's right.
So, yeah.
I think it's a T-Dude. What did I say? Yeah. But yeah, you're right. The BLD for building. That makes a lot more sense than DUR.
But I like them. I think they're really cool looking.
Yeah, I think the paint schemes are really good on it. The blue CitizenCon.
The Sapphire, yep.
Looks very good.
On my channel, actually, that's what we're giving away during IAE on my streams, is we're going to give away a Star Lancer Max with the Sapphire paint. So
yeah,
stay tuned.
Which while you're there in that space, you have an IE day 1 night tonight, right? You want to plug that real quick?
Yeah, on my Twitch, on twitch.tv /StarJump_Grim. We'll be doing day 1 of IAE. I'm giving away 2 Crusader Intrepids. So if you're trying to get that ship, look out for me, and we'll cover it. I'm going to cover every other day though for IAE. So.
Beautiful. And I can't imagine you would do every single day. That'd be
yeah.
yeah, that'd be a lot.
I won't allow it.
And then for the rest of the ships, they actually aren't in the pledge store, so I can't like show you an image, but we know they're coming. So let's just go down the list. Let's start with the smallest ones first. The F-7C Hornet Mark IIs. Do we have the Ghost and we have the Tracker? Have you been able to look at those and fly with those yet?
I have not been able to look at those at all lately. I've seen other people checking them out, but I haven't checked them out yet. Interesting. They don't totally grab me. I think the big one for the Mark IIs is going to be when the Super Hornet comes, and that may be at Invictus next year or something. Not really sure, but that's the only one of the new Hornet Mark IIs that really interests me, other than the base F7A model.
Got it. And let's wrap it up with one last one. I saw your message just now.
Oh yeah, no worries.
I know you need to pop out, but my last one, a lot of talk is going to be around the Terrapin Medical. I think that's the first Terrapin that actually matters. So I would love to quickly hear your thoughts about the medical, and then we can call it a show.
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing with that is I predicted the cost is going to be a concern because the Terrapin's terribly overpriced. I did see they put a tier 2 medical bid in it, so that justifies a little bit of it, but I'm hoping they price it appropriately. To be honest with you, it's still a very expensive ship for what it is. Yeah. So other than that, though, I think it's just the crowd pleaser. Everyone wanted it, so it makes sense that they're going to deliver it. I think I think it's going to sell really well.
Yeah.
I think it'll sell really well. I think the Crusader Intrepid's going to sell really well. I don't think CIG's going to have any problem making money this year.
A lot of things to go out and buy, but friend, you've got a meeting to go to, so let me go ahead and wrap this up real quick. No, you're fine. So again, thank you so much. If you want to go ahead and pop off, you can plug all your socials and then take off. And then I'll do a little wrap up. But
Cool, appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, just, obviously go to StarJumpFleetViewer.com if you haven't checked that out, or Hangar.link, and use the site. We're getting incredible amounts of traffic there. We get our monthly traffic there every month is well into the millions. So we do really well there. I'm really proud of it. Go to our YouTube channel. You can just type StarJump. All of our content is there. All my VODs from all my streams, pre-recorded shows, all that stuff. And then, of course, on Twitch, you can go to StarJump_Grim on Twitch. Give me a follow. Hang out. Doing tons of IE coverage. A lot of giveaways. Doing a lot of StarJump poster giveaways and stuff this IE. And yeah, just appreciate that continued support and appreciate people like you continuing to invite me on and talk ships.
No, you got it, man. Thanks for being a good friend. Thanks for what you do for the community. Have a great Thanksgiving. And then again,
you too, buddy.
Please feel free to log out.
All right. Thanks, Sulyce. Appreciate it. Talk to y'all later. Thanks, everybody.
Yep. Take care.
Bye.
Take care, man. All right. For everybody else, I can finally say this. If you want more Beyond the Verse, or if you want to join our in-game organization, Soul Provision, check it out. We got www.beyondtheversehq.com, and then we got www.soulprovision.com, and that's SOL. I think I had to tell somebody that it's Soul as an SOL, soulprovision.com. And there you go. Like, that's my outro now. Absolutely love it. In the next couple of days, we got Thanksgiving. So have a great IAE. Try to enjoy it through all the server fires that you know that you're going to have. But have a great Thanksgiving if that's something you, family, friends celebrate. We will more than likely not. In fact, I'm going to promise you, we're not going to have an org night this next Thursday night because that is Thanksgiving. And I'm not going to be recording a podcast Friday morning because it's still family time. So more than likely, we'll take a week off and then we'll be back here in 2 weeks. So until then, like, subscribe, become a member in the YouTube channel. I'd love to have you. There's several perks, a special community within Soul Provision that you get to join, but it also just keeps the lights on. It keeps us growing and building this product that apparently you all love and want to be more a part of. So again, I hope this finds you well. Safe travels as you traverse Beyond the Verse. Take care, everybody.